Please listen to the disclaimer at the end of this podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cafecito podcast from the New America Alliance. We are here to tell you some stories about our members and extended community in the asset management industry. My name is Gerson Guzman. I am your host today. The day job is managing partner at Cepeda Capital. But I think my full-time job is doing great little projects like this for the New America Alliance. The New America Alliance was founded in 1999 and for 26 years has been a leading advocacy organization for American success by driving American Latino success. Our focus is on helping Latino and diverse asset managers grow their firms and also participants in the broader ecosystem in the asset management industry. So with this podcast, we're helping to tell the personal stories, the professional journeys that our members and extended community have lived and have contributed through. So with that, manos a la obra. Let's go ahead and get started. Today's Cafecito is with Jose Cepeda, Managing Director at FTI Consulting. I know you're very involved in Latino initiatives generally. You are of Dominican heritage. So let's dive into it. Give us the personal background first, and then we'll jump into the professional journey.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you for having me. This is a great honor to be part of this. So yeah, my personal journey, I grew up and born in the United States in the Brooklyn area. My parents moved, they migrated from Dominican Republic in the mid-1960s, working very humble jobs. My father was working a dishwasher, my mother in the garment district, and they decided to move to Long Island, and that story just built from there.
My father was a busboy and my mother was a seamstress.
So we all have those things in common, which is fantastic. Grew up in Long Island, went to college at Northeastern University, studied finance and accounting, and from there did some great internship and really got to learn what corporate America was about. And that kind of opened up my eyes. So that was a real great experience. I really appreciate my time at Northeastern University. From there, I moved to, got a job with General Electric, GE, in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the Evendale plant.
I don't want to age you, but circa?
That was about 1994, so
okay.
That was a little while. And for me, that was a big change, coming from Long Island and moving to the Midwest. Mm-hmm. So that was a great experience, a culture shock for me personally. But it was great to experience being there by myself for 2 years and really learn how to work. And it was a great program. It was a financial management program, and we had classes at night, kind of MBA level plus day job, and rotating every 6 months. So it was a fantastic experience.
Well, GE is well known for that kind of training.
Indeed.
All right, so son of immigrants. Probably one of the first, if not the first, to go to college, given the background you just shared. You mentioned the internship, and we'll talk a little bit about the NAA fellowship program. But how did you take those first steps in corporate America and get comfortable entering that world, given the background that you've already just shared?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, it was pretty natural at Northeastern because we had a co-op program.
Okay.
But I find that was why I want to go to Northeastern, is because of the co-op program. Because they introduce you to the corporate America with internship jobs. Mm-hmm. It's part of the education.
Okay.
So I found that to be critical because obviously my parents being immigrants and growing up in Long Island, we don't have access or information about these type of jobs that could be available. So Northeastern really opened up that door. So I think that's critical.
Excellent. All right, so now let's dive into the professional journey. You touched a little bit on GE. You're now a senior professional at a major consultancy. How did that happen? Walk me through that piece of the journey.
That's a great question. It was basically, I was working at GE at the time, GE Capital in Stamford, Connecticut. We were doing, this is about 2001, during that recession period of the telecom bubble that busted.
I was at SBC Communications, so please, a little PTSD here for me.
So we had a lot of loans and workout, and we, as a firm, we hired FTI Consulting as a restructuring advisor.
Okay.
And that's where I got to know FTI Consulting. They did a fantastic job back then. Fast forward, recession of 2008, I was working at BNP Paribas, leverage finance. Again, going through a massive restructuring period. And unfortunately, our department got shut down. I lost my job. And then I called my friend at FTI, and we met, and he said, we have a great opportunity for you. And that's how the connection
2008,
happened.
they were looking for a little help on the restructuring side.
So I was a client, and then I became their employee over time. And it's really been a great experience.
Okay. So at FTI, when did you start there?
That was 2011.
Okay. So it's been 14 years. You've seen some cycles.
Indeed.
Talk to me about your practice area and what do you generally focus on?
Great. I focus on the industry vertical of telecom, media, and technology, primary. And I do three types of service. One is restructuring work. The second is business transformation, turnaround management. And the third is transaction, helping M&A, helping bring synergies to realize synergies, doing diligence and things of that nature.
Is that on the synergy side mostly like post-merger integration type work?
That's correct.
Okay, excellent.
Pre-merger, post-merger as well.
My understanding is you're also involved with the Hispanic or Latinx Employee Resource Group at FTI. You're also involved with the NA. I mean, you're very involved with initiatives around the community. Tell me about some of the philanthropic and impact work that you do.
Yeah, so I think that's very important. I think that's my biggest pride and joy is being part of the ERG at FTI and being one of the founders of it. This was back in 2020. I had a young man. I was doing like a career panel, and one young man came after that panel and told me, you know what we need? We need like an affinity group for Hispanics that was lacking at FTI. And I said, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And right away we launched it. In 3 months, we already had 70 members, and today we have over 200 plus, as well as global presence. So, FTI is a relatively small firm. It's about 8,000 employees, which is pretty sizable.
Seba's cruising at 4, so,
So sizable, but not, and the Hispanic community within the FTI, especially in the States, it's, it's a measurable number. So so it was a great opportunity for us there. And again, this is a time in my career, I'm like 50-something, that it is a personal responsibility to give back to the community and help build the community, because I've been very fortunate to find the path and learn. So I want to spread that message and help other people to achieve that.
Okay. Now, I know I first met you maybe 5 years ago when you did some great work for the NAA on a pro bono basis with FTI. And since then, you've become actively involved with the organization. You're now on the board of the Institute. Maybe let's talk a little bit about the fellowship program that we have and then some of the ideas that you have for how we can take the Institute to the next level.
Yeah, so the fellowship program is a fantastic program. I give kudos to the NAA and all the people that help establish it and the students that are going through that experience. I was part of watching them doing the report out about their experience, and I was highly impressed of the quality of the student, or how articulate they were in their vision and ambition. So that's really fantastic. I think that's a program that I hope more Hispanics could help people in the careers, in the professions, to open those doors for those young people to come into the industry. That being said, I'd love to expand that. One of the visions that we have is really develop the professional network within the NAA for professional employees at big banks, financial institutions, even mid-sized and small, to come together. Having a forum that Hispanic people from asset management can meet, as well as the founders and the mergers and the asset managers. So it's kind of bringing all these people together in a room to really celebrate the cultures that we have, as well as network for professional reasons. And with that, if we do that successfully, then we could bring more students. We'll empower and scale that foundation, hopefully, 10x, 20x in the short term.
I share that hope as well. I guess for our audience, I'll just talk a little bit about the fellowship program. So what the Institute does is we bring in students as young as high school juniors all the way through college sophomores and give them a first internship at our member firms, take them under our wing, mentor them with the goal of getting them ready for that very competitive junior year internship. Because a lot of those kids, much like our background, don't have friends, family that could call up a private equity firm that they're invested in or a friend who's an investment banker and see if they can get their resume on the top of the pile.
That's right.
Or even have a resume.
And the biggest roadblock, I think, as a community we have is, I remember speaking at a local high school here in New York, and it was a room full of Hispanic students. And I asked them, okay, why we have this issue? Like here in New York, Hispanic represent about 20% of the population to 30%. But yet in my career, we only get 1 or 2% of the applicants are Hispanics. Mm-hmm. Where's the disconnect? And the young woman stood up very bravely and said, it's because we just don't know these things exist.
That's right.
So that's our mission here, is try to bring this message, say these things exist at an early age in their careers, in high school, college, and say this stuff exists. If this is something that is of your interest, the door's wide open and you can reach for the sky.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Circle back around to the personal journey, family.
Okay, that's a good one.
I've gotten to know you over the years. I know family's important. Also, that immigrant transition, right? So you are the son of immigrants. You have children yourself now. We've talked about this, the challenge of maintaining culture and heritage now that we are assimilated or, acclimated to American culture. How do you think about that, and how do you pass on those values across generations?
That's a great question. Look, I was born in the United States, and my family are Dominican, but I consider myself to be very, very Dominican. I do tend to go to Dominican Republic frequent, like many other New Yorkers here that are Dominican. So the culture is very close to us, being Dominican. Now my children are born here, so they're the second generation. So that becomes more of a challenge. They don't have the same support system that I had when I was growing up. That had my tío.
I was going to say, you have a lot of primos and primas still
all
down
over,
there?
and that's who we hung out with at that time. We were always together as a family, and the family unity was critically important. Now, obviously, I moved to Stamford, Connecticut. We don't have that family support, so they did not have that opportunity the way I had it. So how do we overcompensate for that? How do we, what we need to do, or at least I do, is try to stick with the core values of our family, which is family. Obviously our religion is very important, and the traditions that we have, and really, keep it and celebrate those things. And today my kids are at universities, and they come back and they want to eat mango.
What's mango? I'm sorry, I'm from Guatemala. I'm from Guatemala, so
it's a mashed plantain. So,
okay.
And it's very popular in Dominican Republic. And
sweet plantain, or
it could be sweet, but usually it's the green one, or a green banana type. So you can make it in different styles, but it's mango.
Okay.
So it's interesting to see the desire to have and reconnection with our family and the roots of our family. So that's critical.
Excellent. Now, you talked about traditions. Every culture, every family has their traditions, but what are some that just, a couple that come to mind when you think about what you've handed down as that legacy, that heritage to your children?
I think is really hosting family parties. I think is the thing that really...
a Latino family hosting a party?
Yeah. So we have extended families. So, with the other, we have celebrations, we have weddings, we have baptisms, we have confirmations. We have, unfortunately, people do pass away, and we do gatherings. And then obviously the holidays. Yeah. So I think that's the one that sticks most with my kids, is seeing all the cousins coming together out of my home. We'll cook, Dominican food, or, we might have cerdo asado, and rice and beans and maduro and things of that nature. And I think that's the stuff they remember, is that connection of the human and celebrating and having a meal together. And
food
coming
is such
together.
an important component of that heritage, right?
Yeah. And the family is the most important, I think, and that's what we're celebrating, the family unity.
Okay.
Which is, I think, is unique from other cultures, but I think from being Dominican is very, very deep, and also a lot of the Hispanic population as well.
Okay. Now, the intersection of all of these topics. You have children of your own. I think they're in college. What advice do you dispense, not as a father telling them to be good people, but as a professional who now is seeing them start out on their own professional journey and thinking about these changes that are happening in the workplace. And as a father myself, you worry about how your child is going to earn his or her livelihood.
Yeah. My biggest advice that I give to my kids and relatives is really become more human, right? Human interaction, developing relationship with people, and networking, and being more out there with people. I think with these tools, obviously me being in the media and telecom situation, I've been seeing this being developed. People are becoming way too inwardly focused. People are spending way too much time on these tools and devices. And it's interesting because like watching TV back in the day, you know, people used to watch about 4 hours of television. And that seemed to be a lot back in the 90s and early 2000s. But today we have people using their screens.
Screen time is through the roof.
12 hours a day. So just imagine 12 hours a day for a whole year. That's a lot of time. I mean, you could become an expert in anything in over 10,000 hours. So within 2 or 3 years, you become something unbelievable if you invest your time properly. So I think
you're not watching dance videos.
Exactly. So, it's really the caution here is to step back and look at how much time I'm spending on entertainment, how much is other stuff, and doing research and studying different hobbies and connecting with people, and spending time with your friends with devices down, to interact and have genuine moments. I think that's the most critical, and I think that will make a huge difference in the long term of somebody's career going forward. Because if you think about it, if you have a colleague, a young person who's been doing a lot of social media and kind of stuck in the device versus somebody who's been interacting with a lot of people 20, 30 years, it will be a huge difference.
So last question on this topic, and we're 5 years out of the pandemic. Screen time's going through the roof, but that young generation all got sent home for, call it, 18 to 24 months. So you have the intersection of the pandemic forcing that kind of solitary interaction, screen time going through the roof, and then social media, AI. How do you think about that as a professional dispensing advice to young professionals coming into the workforce who are of that generation who the world happened?
Yeah, so that's a reality, right? That's a circumstance that did happen. I think they need to reassess and rebalance and recognize, okay, that was a period of time that it was, and obviously that was in that situation, and you develop certain habits during that period of time. Now you need to grow out of that and figure out, how should I shift? You got to be a little bit strategic and think about it. You got to project. Usually I remember back in the days we used to have 5-year goals. Where do you want to be in 5 years from today? So I recommend people, hey, what is your 5-year goal? What does it take to get there? And then calculate back how you don't get there. And I think that's going to be critical. And obviously spending a lot of time on devices and doing entertainment, it probably is a massive distraction of time. The most valuable commodity that we have as humans is time.
Absolutely.
So we need to invest time properly, and we need to think about that.
Yeah. And look, now we're at this interesting period in human history where we have the totality of human knowledge at our fingertip, right? And we should be taking advantage of that.
Indeed, and that's a good point. I think human knowledge is so available today. It's amazing. Like if you want to study like the fall of the Roman Empire, you could spend 2 or 3 weeks going deep into that topic and getting lectures online, getting great books on audios, and really become an expert of that topic within, a year almost, which would take, 3 years in graduate school or something, or 2 years in graduate school to
people had to dedicate their entire life to that kind of pursuit.
But the challenge that we have is that we got too much information. And what we're seeing, at least in my career, I see a lot of people with a lot of breadth and lack of depth. And we need people, especially in consulting, who can think a lot deeper than 2 inches into a subject matter. They have to go very deep and become expert of that matter.
Especially as you progress in the career. When you're a young analyst, having a broad base and learning those basic skills. But as you progress, being an expert is so important.
Exactly. But even the job interviews, when I do college students, we're kind of checking their depth. Not just, okay, you know all this, so talk to me about this issue. How do you think about that? What are the pros and cons? And let's go into it a lot deeper than just the surface level. And I think that's the challenge of today. It's a little bit harder today given all that access of information. People get TikTok, they get social media, all types of other information, and they see a little piece that is 15 seconds, and they think they already know enough.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
I like to, I point people to go back on YouTube and look at the debates of historical, like a Ronald Reagan and Robert F. Kennedy debate.
Right.
Look at that level of conversation and depth that those two candidates had in the late 1960s. If you have questions, look at Abraham Lincoln and Douglas's debates in the 1860 era. The depth is so much. It was so impressive, the level of knowledge these men had. And I think today we're kind of losing that depth.
Lightning round. It's almost like a psychology exam. Tell me what comes to mind first. Ricky Martin or Mark Anthony?
Oh, Ricky Martin.
Okay. Ricky Martin or Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny today.
All right. Since we talked about plantains, tostones or maduros?
Maduros.
Thank you for joining us today. And that concludes our Cafecito with Jose Cepeda of FTI Consulting. Thank you for listening. We invite you to subscribe to the program as we release more of these episodes. Hasta el próximo Cafecito. Until next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast should not be copied, distributed, published, or reproduced in whole or in part. The information contained in this podcast does not constitute a recommendation from the New America Alliance, the host, or guests to any listener. The terms NAA or New American Alliance may refer to any one or more entities associated with the NAA. Neither the NAA, host, or guests, nor any of their respective affiliates or employers make any representation or warranty as to the accuracy or completeness of the statements or any information contained in this podcast.